Yet we will attempt from the modern perspective as well as from the Oriental perspective. So, what is awareness? Well, it is a state of mind, of course. And the dictionary describes it as cognizant, having knowledge, conscious, alert, informed, knowledgeable, and so on, which would mean really nothing. Is it a quality of the mind? The flower, gives off the aroma, fragrance. Is awareness the quality of the mind? Something that issues out from the mind? Or it's the mind itself? Well, as we know that the brain has three functions. The three functions are what we gather in, and that is awareness. We are aware of things coming in. And then there's the second part, which is memory. Because without having a correlate of what's coming in, it'll like dementia. Everything goes in, but there's nothing to correlate. Yes, of course. Of course, there's another kind of trend which is becoming very like zombies. And then the motor activity, the activation. You have these, the sensory and the motor system, and plus the memory. So this is it. Now, when you talk about awareness, what exactly is it? There's another word which we often use is attention. Attention, yeah. Now, what is attention and what is awareness? Are they both one or a single entity? Spoken differently? Yeah, Reena says no. Well, the answer is both yes and no. There was a Swami, there is a Swami who used to kind of teach us a long time ago. And then, our attention used to stray. And he used to say, you have come to become monks, and what do you mean you're letting your attention stray? Here, pay attention here. Well, pay attention, actually that word, I don't know how the word has come, the phrase has come, pay attention. Yes, we have to pay attention and we are amply rewarded. There's a tremendous reward in that. You've got to pay, but pay attention. So, the first is, is attention different from awareness? The first, like you said, no. We'll take the first answer, which is yes. They are both one. It's like, I think it was William James who first gave a kind of a hint about this awareness. It's like a kind of a spotlight. He gives the example of a kind of a spotlight. Later, psychologists developed, like when you flash, you can say a flashlight rather, you have a focus. That's the main part where the light falls. And then you have the periphery. And then, that is, they say it's called a fringe. And then you have the outer margin. The light is extremely diffused. And slowly it fades into darkness. Attention is something like this. When you are focused on one particular point, that's a spotlight. The awareness is diffused, but when you bring it into focus, then it becomes attention. When you focus that awareness, it is called attention. There's another theory. It takes this reading completely, but they say it's a zoom in, zoom out phenomena. Yes, you can focus on one particular part, but you can zoom in and zoom out. The object can be made magnified, or it can become small. We have attention can accomplish this. Well, these are the two broad theories about attention and awareness. So attention is a kind of a focusing of awareness. There is something else called the situational awareness. People in you can say security, the army or something like that, they are trained to have a kind of 360 degree of awareness around. They are aware of everything around. Yeah, you can do it. It requires training, of course. But in case there is a threat detected in the front, everything becomes focused to that threat. That 360 degrees of, you can say, awareness that surrounds you becomes focused on one particular point. So the situational awareness is actually situational awareness, as we know, but there are a lot of ramifications in the sense of, suppose we are walking down the street and suddenly you feel you need to turn and look at something or somebody, and you do, and then you discover that there's somebody who was looking at you from behind. There were these subliminal, you can say, perceptions coming in. You were focused on something else, but as a kind of a threat, when somebody is watching you from behind, you become aware and it rises up to the level of consciousness, and then you turn, and then you know that that particular person has been staring at you. It's unerring. Yes, so we have this kind of awareness also. It's like, situational awareness is also something like we have a whole body of knowledge. Take, for example, language. But then you just extract a little of it for the time being, according to place, according to circumstances. You don't need to use the whole of your knowledge of English. As to that, nobody can say that I know the whole English language. It's vast. We have taken a little and say, I know English. And then we take a little of that and deal with our day-to-day, you can say, interactions are just... Or the personality. My personality is much bigger than what I really am right now. So I've extracted a little of this and I'm placing it before you, and you are placing it before me. So situational awareness is this, that you have a vast store, but you extract a little and then you display it or make use of it to interact or whatever. Well, now if you say, okay, attention is not different from awareness, like you say, no. Attention, they say, is actually the basic you can say, mechanism of the mind. From attention, from awareness arises attention. And from awareness also arises thought. But, like the Buddhists say, that there is an intention, it is called a sankalpa, which is actually the root of awareness. Without setting in motion, as I say, a wave in the mind, you will never be aware. Well, Vedanta says, in the state of deep sleep, there was a slight awareness. Why is that? That's because there is one wave in the mind, with a wave of tamas, they say, darkness, that runs to and fro the mind stuff. And that's why there's a remembrance when we wake up. Oh, I slept well, I did not know anything. Sukham ham swapsam na kinchit vedisham. So there is a wave in the mind. That wave is important for any type of awareness. That's what the yogis as well as the Buddhists also, in fact, it was these ancient, you can say, dialecticians, Nyaya and the Vaisheshika and both the Buddhists, that really discovered all these kind of the subtle aspects of what is awareness. Now, generally, the modern world has become so cumbersome. We have to do multitasking. You've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. Yeah. It's like driving and talking on the cell phone. Even if you don't have a phone near your ear, or you have you can say speaker, or you've got a speaker of the car, it doesn't matter. You are multitasking. Now, attention is divided between the two. It's like, suppose we are sitting down here. What is the color of the wall behind? We don't know. But is it necessary? No, it's not necessary. You can understand this. Next time you come in, you'll remember to watch the color of the wall. What's it? Your attention is focused only on something that will help you survive. You know the exit. Yeah, there's another, there's another, there's. Okay, fine. In case anything happens, I can run out. That's all. So what's the color of the carpet? Oh, I see. These things are not in your consciousness. So consciousness can be fixed in one place, extracted, put in one place. So simply when you are driving and talking, consciousness goes to the driving, goes to the conversation, and it is so fast, that's what, you don't get depth in either way, either when driving or in a conversation.
Is that an example of multitasking?
Yeah, you can do 3 or 4, 5, 6 things. 7. But the brain is designed for one task at a time. So now, if you say, okay, it is designed for one task at a time, but what about, he says about there are musicians. They are listening to the music as well as playing the music or the drum. This is called simultaneous awareness. That's a multitasking, this is simultaneous. Yes, that is called vijatiya and this is sajatiya, means of a different class. We're driving and talking and listening to something else, there's a radio also on, and looking out, or maybe typing something on the computer and listening to some music and intermittently talking to a friend. That is vijatiya of a different class. But in simultaneous awareness, what is it? You have one type of, one stream of sensations coming in. You are listening to the music and you are playing as well. You can't do that. Otherwise, it won't be possible to play. So, there's, like I said, there's another kind of awareness which is like a kind of organic whole. It's called swagata. That is, take for example, we have, how do you know that you have a friend waiting for you out? You won't know until unless somebody informs you or somebody, or you get a call or something like that. What we are talking about is there's a kind of a organic awareness in the body. You can become aware of every part in the body, every sensation in the body. And how do you know that there's a mosquito sitting on your arm? Ouch! That means there are nerves to carry it. And that also means that the brain is the center. That's why they say that pain is a kind of a signaling system. It's a signal. Without this signaling system, we would have died. Yeah, pain keeps us alive, keeps us awake, keeps us from harm. It's like the body is telling the brain, do something, this is out of order. You need to pay attention here to this. And then the body, oh yeah, there's a mosquito here and I hate it. So from this only you can understand that there is something called a global kind of awareness of it. At the same time, there are nerves, etc., to carry the sensations up there to the brain. We also have the idea of the conscious and subconscious. You suppose somebody says your friend is waiting for you outside. It might not seem far-fetched. Yes, I have a friend and it's probable that the friend is waiting for me outside. So then you start churning, who can it be? The very fact that I have only 2 friends and it might be one of them. You're using the subconscious mind. So the conscious awareness is penetrating down to the subconscious. So we have now 2 layers of awareness. One is the conscious and one is the subconscious. So, yeah, it's a little, we'll come down to. So once we understand the nerves are useful to relay sensations and we become aware. What actually, to come down to very hard science, what actually is awareness? Let's look at it, it's like a spectrum. Or it's a different layers of the ocean. At different depths, we have different pressure. The highest one, the topmost one is lighter than the low ones. So this whole awareness is like a spectrum. And this spectrum is within us. What gives rise to this spectrum? It's synchronized firing of the neurons along with the different parts of the brain. Yeah, with the whole, our whole, you can say, existence is nothing but the firing of the neurons, nothing else. So this firing of the neurons in a kind of a synchronized way gives rise to something called brain waves, so electrical impulses, which can be measured. It's called a hertz. Yeah. Now we can grip awareness. What exactly is awareness? Where exactly it is? So the lowest one, in the old days it was like this EEG machines were there, they should put electrodes and then they used to see on the graph, there's a movement of, he's got a nice alert brain. Oh, this is a kind of a sleepy brain. Looks like that, but he's sleepy. Yeah, I can see it. So now do you have this PET, Positron emission tomography and this CAT scans and all these things. They can find out what exactly, how much of electricity you're giving out and what it indicates you are. The first is infra low. That's a kind of a from 0.5. Yeah, that's a 0.5. Initially, this is the kind of new wavelength that they've discovered. Infra low is between 0.5. Hertz is actually one, you can say, cycle per 1 second, if you look at it like that. So 0.5 is extremely low. There are scientists, neurologists who say that this is actually the basis of the other brain waves. It's very low, very, you can say feeble, but it can be measured. That's simple. And then we have the delta waves, slightly from 0.5 to 3 hertz. Delta waves are nice. It's a sleep wave. You go to sleep. And they are low frequency, but they are curative. That's why sleep cures you. Yes, it's kind of it consolidates your memory and so many other things. So we found that deep meditation also gives off, very deep meditation, gives off these waves. It's a similar. So a person might be either sleeping or in a deep meditation. That's why you see people falling asleep in meditation and saying, I have meditated. No, you fell asleep. I had a friend, I have a friend, he was so active throughout the day, and then we had to get up early in the morning and go to the temple, and we used to drag ourselves up. And there was no fan, it's so sweaty, and the mosquitoes, and no sleep. We used to talk the whole night and then go in the morning to the temple. So my friend had selected a place near a pillar, and he used to sit down in front of the pillar, and he used to lean, just sway in front of the pillar, and we were saying, now his head is going to bump into the pillar, he's going to wake. And he used to pull his head back, right, at the right time. And he kept on, hey, look at that. Something in him was not letting him bump his head, not letting him wake up. So he used to come out saying, so, good meditation. Yeah, yes. We wish we could have filmed you. Oh, it was great fun. So you have to be careful whether the 0.5 till 3 hertz is of meditation or of sleep. And so during this, it's actually, it can be measured, and then you find during this time, the external awareness is suspended. External awareness of objects is suspended. And also, the internal aware of the mind's objects are suspended, which is very important. In deep meditation, you are aware, but of a different type. So, everything else is suspended. In deep sleep, you know everything is suspended. Similarly, in very deep meditation, everything, the external, you can say, objects, the mind doesn't go out at all. The objects in the mind also, that also is closed. So you are just on the subjective level of awareness. So then there's a theta, or 3 to 8 hertz. Now this is another thing. This also is a kind of a, when we are the beginner's mind, trying to meditate, and after years and years and years and years, okay, yeah, I've got a little of meditation today. So this is like, it is also connected with rest, relaxation. So meditation, etc., and relaxation and all these things, they give off the same, you can say. But here, this is what, it's a stage very close to dream sleep. And in the dream sleep, your memory and learning is consolidated. That's why I tell the children, at least in India, I should tell them, saying, you have to read so many books and study this and study that. I said, yeah, you read this and do a little meditation. Really? It's a waste of time. I said, no, you will consolidate what you are learning. Otherwise, you will forget everything. Your whole brain will go wacky after a while otherwise. And it's happening nowadays. It is that whatever they study is generating stress and confusion, of course. They have not learned to integrate what they have studied. So you have this theta, and then, so it's a kind of a twilight. It's just near this dream state, and yet not a dream state. There's a slight awareness of things. That, yeah, I am awake, I'm not yet asleep. These two states called hypnagogic and hypnopomic. That is just between the state where before you fall asleep, or when you wake up, that kind of small interval where you have this, everything is kind of, you are detached from everything. And you see everything come out without you trying to push those thoughts away or try to magnify that. Nothing, just they come and like clouds floating on the sky. And then we have this alpha. This is from 8 to 12 hertz. This is what is called the resting state of the brain, but alert. Quiet flowing thought. It stays in the present. It's a now. It doesn't go to the past. That is, I can say, a real place where you can get learning. They say it aids in overall mental coordination. Yeah, this is the typical waking state. And yes, it is externalized. The senses and everything are, you can say, hyper. Your consciousness has become, you can say, clear. You're aware of things outside, you're aware of your own subjective awareness as well as the objective, the mind's objects. So it's a kind of a stream which is flowing out there. And then we have the beta. Now you can say fast activity, attention directed towards cognition and cognitive task, and problem solving, judgment, all these things. But the negative side of this is stress, as I was saying, nervousness, restlessness. And then we have something called, which a lot of researchers don't agree, but there are there are some brain waves that are really fast. That is, they're called gamma rays. As they say, simultaneous processing of information from different areas of the brain. Then it is, you can say, linked with higher values, altruism. You can say the large heart, the large-hearted person, they have these gamma rays. And it modulates perception and all these things. But it's still a kind of a mystery. We don't really know what specific functions are there. It needs more studies here. So these waves rise from the brain because inside the neurons are firing and depends on what intensity the neurons are firing, your awareness is on that level. So that's a spectrum. You can travel up and down this without any hindrance. Well, the brain actually keeps on humming constantly, even in deep sleep, as we've seen. The brain gives off this wavelength. At the same time, it's being bombarded with wavelengths. Yes, it's not that we are sending signals out. Now you know how there's something called entanglement. Our brain waves and the other person's brain waves get entangled. But this whole world, objects, sentient or insentient, is giving off a kind of a energy out, and that is also being absorbed by us. So this is a very dynamic process. This whole attention and awareness business, very dynamic. In this whole stimulus energy coming in, my energy going out, somehow I'm trying to make sense of this world, and I'm trying to see what can scare me, what can frighten me, what can kill me. I've got to be careful of that also. That is your awareness, which is helping you. It has actually made us. So the brain itself is plastic. Plastic in the sense it can be molded and remolded over and over and over again. Every time our waking stage, and every time we read something, say something, do something, see something, we are actually molding our brain, molding our minds. So it is awareness. Awareness is kind of a very powerful tool. So we can say that awareness has got two parts, subjective and objective. Well, rather three, subjective, objective, as well as subconscious. But here I want to bring Swami Vivekananda's observation. He says, consciousness is a mere film between two oceans of the subconscious and the superconscious. Just a film. Now here, he continues, I could not believe my own ears when I heard Western people talking so much of consciousness. Why is it? Why it is nothing as compared to the unfathomable depths of the subconscious and the heights of the superconscious. In this I could never be misled, for had I not seen Ramakrishna Paramahansa gather in 10 minutes from a man's subconscious mind the whole of his past and determine from that his future and his powers. So here we are. So there is awareness, like Ramakrishna's awareness. It can go within your awareness, extract all the information about your past, and according to that, can predict what you will be or do in the future. So, there is, from this you can say now awareness has got subjective, objective, subconscious and superconscious. So we are somewhere in the middle. Now in everywhere, especially in America and all this, kind of become, this mindfulness has become very popular. Mindfulness, everything, mindful. Be mindful and mindful and yeah. It's like, why do you seek miracles? There's a book, The Miracle of Mindfulness. I think we should read that book. It's a great book, Miracle of Mindfulness. They say, what's walking on the water and walking on the air and all? That mindfulness meditation itself is like better than walking on the water and walking on the air. It's a miracle. Every moment of your life is magnificent. So I think I would recommend that book for this mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Nothing but awareness. Nothing but attention. Well, in LA we have something Mindful Awareness Research Center and Mindful Nest and Mindful Clinics and so on. How mindful? Full of mind.
But the mindfulness meditation is a copy of the...
Yeah. Okay. So this mindfulness, so it's a part of a meditative technique, which Raghuram is talking about. It's called Vipassana. In the Theravada Buddhism, that is the southern school of Buddhism. Thera means elder, Vada means the school of the elders. There is something like they have made it you can say, the stepping stone for all further practices in meditation. So Vipassana means Vishesh Rupena Pasya, that is to see clearly, clear sight or clear insight. This is what means Vipassana. Pasya is to see. Pasya is to see. Everything is Pasya. And Vipassana, Vishesh, to see in a very special way. Now what do you see? Well, you don't have to see. See, you can use, of course, your eyes to see. You can really discern the details of a particular thing correctly if you see things correctly. We generally skim over the surface. So our awareness, our level of awareness is just kind of a surface awareness. But as you keep on watching a particular thing, this was taught by the Buddha. And the mindful meditation is nothing but we sit down and first become aware of the body. Nothing but you become aware of the body. And then the second is become aware of the sensations that are coming out from the body. The third is become aware of your breath. Yeah, that's the best. They say that's a rope where you can hold on to awareness. You can, each and every movement, you can, the finer and finer movements can be, clearly discerned if you keep on paying attention. And consciousness keeps on expanding. After the breath, then we see the contents of the mind. Your mind is always bubbling up with hundreds of things. Keep on just watching it as a witness. Pasya, to see the contents of the mind. Of course, it takes a couple of years to graduate. We are doing it in a couple of minutes. And then see the mind itself. the bhava, the mood of the mind, what exactly colors the mind right now. And gradually, observation, or paying attention, kind of gives you a control over the whole of science and the whole of everything depends on observation. You observe, keep on observing certain phenomena happening over and over and again. And then after observation, you bring out a kind of a thesis. And then you replicate it. So everything starts with observation. You keep on, you don't try to control the body and control the mind, nothing. Don't do anything. Just observe. See clearly. And as you keep on clearly seeing where my faults are, where my stupidity was, where my egoism was, you kind of discard it. And the more you discard these things, the lighter your awareness becomes. Oh yes. And as it's like, we find that we have been carrying excess baggage. And we are paying for it. Instead of paying attention, we are paying for that excess baggage. We know how when we travel, the guy says, you got to pay for this. Okay. You can discard it. No. I'm not going to discard it. I'm going to take it along. I'll pay for it, but I'm going to take that excess baggage. And we've been doing that all our lives. Now, like when you are climbing a mountain, you can't afford to carry excess baggage. You've got to drop things, all the hurt, all the grievances, all the criticisms, all what you've suffered. Oh, this ego is a suffering fool. It tells you how you have suffered. The whole world is crazy. It has made you terrible. It has made you miserable. You finally find that this ego is now clearly in the line of sight. Then you find it was another kind of a delusional. And you keep on giving things up. And as you keep on giving things up, this becomes lighter and lighter, this awareness. And as it becomes lighter, it becomes magnified. It expands. And as it expands, it becomes pure. And there's another kind of strange, you can say, thing about this awareness. It becomes internalized. The more limited you are, or awareness is, the more it is confined to the body, or confined to a particular thought, a particular mood. The more it becomes freed from that, those complexes that we have, superior complex or inferiority complex or whatever complexes, there are plenty of complexes. So the moment awareness becomes disengaged from those complexes, those knots, the level of your energy goes up. And awareness becomes pervasive. Like Swami Vivekananda is there, couldn't sleep at night, and what exactly happened? I think there's a lot of people are suffering there. There's kind of some disaster. Oh, it's nothing. You go to sleep. Vigyan Maharaj is saying, go to sleep. Next morning, find in the newspapers that there was some volcanic eruption somewhere near the Fiji Islands. He felt. Shri Ramakrishna, it was very common with him. Even Vivekananda, there in one place near Darjeeling, he's walking with some of his, you can say, followers and friends and disciples, and then he sees one old Nepali woman. She's carrying a bundle of, you can say, firewood, and she falls. And before she can fall, Here Swami Vivekananda, his awareness had become so rarefied, so spread out. He could feel that pain even before that old woman could feel that pain. So, that's the idea. Awareness should leave your body and ooze out, radiate out. The more a person can do that, the more superior that person is. Really, in the real true sense. That person's consciousness has expanded. And that is what the spiritual literature is speaking about. The more confined it is, the more narrow it is, the more limited it is, the more egotistical it is. As those complexes are broken, energy comes out, it's issuing out, slowly spreading out, then you'll feel, then as it spreads out, as I say, it goes in also. So, Sukshmatara, Antaratara, Vyapakatara, that's in the Kathopanishad, that which is subtle is all pervasive. And that is internal. So you will find that that awareness was the essential thing within you, within your life, within your mind, within your body, within your senses. It was that actually was giving rise to all the phenomena that I am experiencing. So when we are talking about this awareness and attention and mindfulness and this, consciousness, well, it's nothing, it's just the terms are different. But if you look at the spiritual literature, you will find that consciousness is primary. Like, Erwin Schrödinger says, consciousness is singular, it's primary. And the moment consciousness gets reflected on a particular thing, it becomes awareness. There are some who will reverse this, saying that, it's awareness and it's consciousness. No. Consciousness, because that's Chit. And Chit, consciousness, is translated as Chit, awareness. Consciousness. And that itself is existence. Sat. And that itself is bliss. You will find you don't need anybody to make you happy. You don't need anything in the world. Just today we were talking about there's a big black hole, one monk was saying, in every center of the galaxy. Then I said, that's old. We have plenty of smaller black holes moving around. They were stars, now they have become black holes. They're moving. And we'll be pulled in one of them. Well, we'll be pulled and merge in Brahman, so what is that? No, we don't want that. Why should you limit yourself to just one black hole in the center of the galaxy? There are plenty of them moving around here. Yeah. So that's a fun part of it. Why should you get frightened of this? It's part of nature. So you will find you don't need anything to make you happy. You just become aware. That gives you bliss. That is existence. You will feel, yes, I exist. Even if you are merged in the black hole, I exist. Consciousness can never be destroyed. There it is. Because you see, in the state of deep sleep, your consciousness is still there. There we slowly, we become what we really are. Those beings which somehow we have forgotten our real nature. And we are playing different parts in this great drama of life. And going around bumping into things. Our consciousness has become so confined to only me and mine. When this is broken, you'll see this me and mine was also you and yours. It becomes the whole.